Hello, 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 everyone. Welcome back to Mallory's Weird World Adventures, the podcast. I'm your host, Mallory, and I'm here to show you just how weird and wonderful this world of ours really is. And I'm very excited. I have Kyle Kittleson here on with me today to talk about his new endeavors. And I also want to talk to you about some of your animal behavior stuff too, by the way.
Oh, no problem. I don't know if our listeners can see it, but I have my beautiful little parrot right here, little Spire girl.
God.
She came over to say hi. She was having a little bit of a mango.
What's her name?
Spire.
Spire. Oh my gosh. She's so pretty.
Yeah. After Frank Lloyd Wright's towers that shoot up into the air,
Yes.
those are called spires. So I thought that'd be appropriate for a bird.
That's amazing.
Yeah.
I have my daughter running around here too. She might want to come over and say hi.
Oh, good. I would love that. Yeah. Awesome.
Because she loves your show.
Awesome.
So I guess let's start with,
good.
I know of you because of Baba Blast on YouTube. My daughter loves your show, and I'd love to hear how that came to be. What inspired you to start Baba Blast?
Well, my sister-in-law is in the other room, so she's going to hear this story. So I have a nephew who was 3 years old at the time, and I went over to their house, and they were watching YouTube. And they were watching this video of a family that bought groceries. Okay. They went to the grocery store and bought groceries. Then they bring the groceries home. They put them out on the street. And then the mom and the kids sit on the corner and the dad runs over the groceries in their car. And that's the video. And I'm sitting there going, what do you mean that's the video? They're buying food and wasting it? And why? Like, what is it? And I go, well, I kind of asked my nephew, I'm like, do you want to do a video? Like, should we make one? Because I think we can make a good one. Mm-hmm. And he goes, yeah, let's do it. So he was in the first video, our first, we'll call it the pilot episode. And it was just kind of us playing around with this idea that there would be this guy with a magic wand who would take you different places and teach you stuff. And then it turned into what it is now. And it's still morphing into what it hopefully will continue to improve. But that was it. So we filmed that October of 2021. I released it March of 2022, and then we've been cranking out episodes ever since.
How long does it take you to put together an episode? Or does it depend on, I guess, where you're going and what you're doing?
Yeah, it totally depends. So right now we're in a really interesting phase where I'm trying to create a mixture of what I call simple content, and then mix that with our big high production content. Mm-hmm. So if you're not familiar with Baba Blast, the high production content is lots of adventures. We've got to defeat the bad guy. We've got to save the dinosaurs. There's going to be lots of action, lots of magic, certainly educational components, and always our core mission of empathy and resilience in everything we put out, regardless if it's simple or high production, always that. But it's entertainment. It's entertaining. Mm-hmm. And then we have our simple episodes. I'm in Minnesota right now. I filmed about 2 weeks ago. I filmed every day for about 10 days. And we filmed a ton of episodes. And these are all less editing, less quote magic, less, flash, less. It's simple. It's simple stuff. Mm-hmm. And it relies more on the main character, Baba Blast, to kind of talk to the camera and move the story along rather than rely on post-production. So these simple episodes, to answer your question, we want to be able to shoot them fast and edit them fast so we can do a lot of them as possible. And it takes us just a couple hours to film one of those. For one of our big ones, it might be multiple days and then weeks and weeks of editing. I mean, it's all the post-production that takes the most amount of time. Yes,
I feel that. We have 10 episodes for delivering of our show for Amazon Prime, and that's the part that's the most intimidating. Just the
and I think it's the part that takes the longest. It's the part that's most intimidating, and it's the most important part of everything. Okay, because if you've got something great, a bad editor can ruin it, and if you've got something that's not so great, a good editor can save it. You know, I feel like that's where all the magic happens, is actually when the cameras stop rolling.
Definitely. Oh, I love her so much. Let's talk about your history with animal behavior too. I saw on your website that you used to work with penguins, and I also worked with penguins. So I wanted
You
to talk
did? Where?
I did. So I work on the South African Penguin Foundation and with Sangkop, where we would be on Robben Island doing conservation work with African penguins. So I lived on Robben Island for part of the summer multiple times.
That is unbelievable. Incredible. I would love to see pictures of that.
Yes, I have tons. I'll have to send some over there.
Yeah, I worked with Humboldt penguins.
Okay, yes.
Yeah. And I only worked with 3 intimately: Willie, Wingnut, and Eggy. And Willie was my first true love in my life. You know, I just loved that bird so much. And then I stopped working with him, and then I came back years later, like a decade later, and he didn't even remember who I was, and I was heartbroken. So part of life, I guess. But yeah, I love penguins. I've worked with a lot of different animals, from penguins to marine animals to obviously parrots. And I think that's like my real love, is animals. And that's why Baba Blast has so many animals in it. People are like, you do animals, huh? Because kids like animals. I go, kids happen to like animals. I love animals. And they also happen to like them, because kids also like cars, and you don't see me putting a lot of cars on there, you know, because that's just not my thing. But animals are my thing. I've learned more from animals than probably anything else.
I love that. And it shows. My daughter loves the one where the giant tortoise, when you're at the farm.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
Yes. And you know, we watched some Blippi in the past, and you can tell he's afraid of animals when he goes places. And it's hard for the parents to watch. Like, this man is afraid of that stingray or the penguins. He was with penguins at one point. I'm like, oh, there's penguins, and he's afraid. And you just have such a chemistry with them, and it shows. And I think it makes it even more exciting, and you know, for children to see that confidence with them.
Hello,
my daughter's coming to say hi.
Hey, it's so good to see you. I brought a parrot with me today.
Look at that.
I just realized you probably can't hear me because you got your headphones on.
You know what? I can hear it on both sides. So.
Oh, okay. Very good. I do meet a lot of kids who are fearful of animals. And I think that as long as we can be pushing curiosity over everything, I think it'll be better. You know,
definitely. Yeah. That's so important. We're trying to get our daughter out into the field at some point with some penguins or some kind of animal experience, because it does build that confidence. And
yeah, and I my first career was in animal training, and we worked with so many kids and kids groups, and what it really does is have these children start to care about the world they live in, because it has so many because they see all these animals that they love, and now they realize, all right, we're sharing this world with these things that I love. I got to take care of it. You know, I'm going to look at recycling. I'm going to look at my waste. I'm going to, care about the planet. And eventually these kids are going to be adults, so.
Right. What a great message. I wanted to ask you a little bit too about MedCircle. I know that's your new project you're working on. You want to tell us a little bit about that?
Yeah, well, MedCircle for me is not too new. I've been with MedCircle for 7 years, almost 8 years now. And I'm their host there. So my primary job is to interview psychologists and psychiatrists. And when I started at MedCircle, I knew nothing about mental health. And I was in therapy when I was 9 years old. Okay. It's not like I haven't been around the mental health world. I just didn't know anything about it. I don't think they teach you about mental health in therapy half the time, which is such a shame. But anyway, so that's my full-time job. That's like what I really do. And then Baba Blast is my, part-time job. My thing that I try to get done on the weekends and at night. So I've asked all these experts in mental health the same question, which is, what should we be teaching our kids? And I get the same two answers over and over again. Number one answer, first answer. Do you have any guesses on what it is? You're a mom.
It's okay to not be okay.
Oh, that's a good one.
When you need help.
Yeah. Oh my God. This talk to someone when you need help is a huge one. Because sometimes, so you're jumping ahead. That's the second one. So the first one, number one answer I get is empathy. We have to teach our kids empathy. They have to learn, and that's hard for a lot of children because for children, their world is themselves. It is all revolving around them. And so to start to introduce these concepts where they can start to daydream what it might be like to be in someone else's shoes, to start to think about what they're going through and what that might be like. That's such a win. And then the second one is resilience. And where people get stuck on resilience is they think that means you can't ask for help. Like, you shouldn't ask for help because that's not resilient. You're not resilient if you go, run, ask somebody to help you. No, literally. That's like one of the best ways to be resilient is go, can you help me with this? I need help. And so in Baba Blast, you'll often hear me say, what do we say when things get tough? I can do this. I can do this. And it's okay to ask for help. Now let's go do it. Let's go ask for some help. Because especially for the age group that watches Baba Blast, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, what are we expecting them to do it all by themselves? Are you kidding me? Like they're just learning to do everything. So everything they need help. So I think those are the two things. So when I started with MedCircle and I had all this mental health education background, and then I started Baba Blast, it obviously got all infused together. And so our primary mission at Baba Blast isn't to teach the kids the colors or the numbers or what sound a cow makes or how cool dinosaurs are. We include that all because kids want to know that too. The primary objective is to teach kids to care about others and remember that they can do it. That's the objective.
I love that. And I think that's why it stands out too. It's meaningful.
Thank you. Yeah. I don't hear a lot of parents, like no parent emails me and goes, I'm so worried that my child isn't going to learn the colors. Like I'm worried that they're not going to count to 10. I go, we're going to get there. What they're worried about is, are they prepared to be emotionally well, emotionally resilient, and emotionally in tune when they're adults? Those are the concerns that parents are having. And I want Baba Blast to be part of that solution.
I think it's so important to expose them young too, because I've watched a lot of I love shows from the 60s, like Bewitched, for instance. And mental health was so not acceptable back then. And they have a therapist character and it's a quack, right? Like it's a joke and I don't need this. And it's something that was a negative in television. And it wasn't until recently that we kind of made that normalized it. Well, this is a good thing and they're doing the right thing to help themselves. And it's interesting to see the stigma, I guess, some of the older generations have on mental health because of what they saw on TV.
Oh yeah. I mean, I have my neighbors and where I live, they skew older. Okay. And one of them learned that I was on antidepressant. I take Prozac, and he comes up to me and I guess half jokingly, he goes, well, you got to get off of that. You shouldn't be on that. And I go, that is such a generational thing, like that. My friends would never say that. You talk to, young adults, they have a whole different perspective on the matter.
I took anti-anxiety medicine. My mom finds out and is like, yeah, you can't do that.
Yeah.
No one can do that.
Yeah. Yeah. Or if you're going to do it, don't tell anybody, goodness gracious. Yeah. Keep it hidden, a little secret. Yeah.
So for your MedCircle videos for them as well, right? What can people expect when they watch your videos? You cover a range of topics. It's just coming familiarizing with it.
Mallory, we have every mental health topic you can think of. Okay. The DSM, which is the Diagnostic and Statistical Manual of Mental Health, we're on our 5th edition right now. Soon they will come out with DSM-6. But DSM-5 is all the lists of every disorder that's recognized by the governing bodies. And MedCircle does a very good job at nearly covering everything in the DSM. Now, there are some obscure ones that we just don't cover. And I don't know if you could ever really go and cover it all the way it needs to be covered, but we do a really good job. So it is a one-stop shop for somebody who wants to find the 2 most critical things in their mental health journey. In my opinion, those are 1, psychoeducation. It does not happen. People get depressed, they go to a therapist, they talk out their feelings, maybe they get put on a med, and that's the end of it. They never learned that they were actually participating in cognitive behavioral therapy. They never learned that the medication they're on is an SSRI and what that means. They never learned why. They might not even have learned a coping strategy, but they don't even know why the coping strategy is working in the first place. So this psychoeducation is like lighter fluid to therapy. It's lighter fluid to your progress, your journey, because it sounds so cliche, but knowledge is power. And if you want to really tackle your mental health, you better get knowledgeable on it. And AIing it and Googling it is only going to cause you mental health issues. Okay. It's only going to make it worse because it's so bad. It's just awful. If you ever tried to do that, it's just a terrible experience and it's not reliable. And so MedCircle provides reliable mental health psychoeducation. That's number 1. And I will also say that the doctors I interview are not your these are people who are at the top of their game. They're doing they're researching, they're pioneers in their field. They're nearly impossible to get appointments with, and they cost a lot of money. And there's a reason they cost a lot of money. So if you want to get, I speak to Dr. Ramani on narcissism. She's certainly, in my opinion, the last word on narcissism, and many people would agree with me on that. And if you want her insight on what you should do because you're married to a narcissist, you can get that at MedCircle, and that's super powerful. So that psychoeducation, really big. The other part is that we've developed a community around all of our MedCircle members. And I did a series of interviews years ago during Mental Health Month where I interviewed people with lived experiences, anything from bipolar disorder, schizophrenia, depression, suicidal ideation, you name it. I probably interviewed them about that topic. And I asked them, what was the one thing that helped you get through this? If you could only pick one. And they go, it wasn't the psychoeducation. It wasn't the therapy. It wasn't the med. It was the support. It was the support. It was the community I was around. My friends, my family, my support system is the thing that got me through that. And when you're struggling with mental health, it's easy to move away from your support system because you're depressed or you have anxiety or you don't want to be a burden or any number of reasons. And people need to lean into it, be greedy, take them for everything they're worth. I mean, just use your support system as hard as you can. And so we have given these people at MedCircle, our members, an incredible support system. I think it's so much better than a lot of other support communities or online communities because you're dealing with members who are really educated on mental health. There aren't very many MedCircle members who aren't educated on mental health. It's the natural tendency of the membership. So, MedCircle is a great alternative for It's a great addition for anyone on their mental health journey. And it is a modern approach to mental health care because you're still getting access to our doctors. You're getting that community support. You're getting reliable, up-to-date mental health, psychoeducation. And you can do a lot with that trifecta, a lot. And if people might go, okay, well, I don't want to join a community, but I would like to learn a little bit more about avoidant personality disorder or whatever it is you want to learn about. We've got a YouTube channel with hundreds of videos, 1.7 million subscribers, millions of views a month. So go check that out and see if any of it resonates with you. And then if that resonates, then maybe, you go try a membership. But it's been a privilege to be a part of because we are, like sometimes we all try to do good. We all try to do good. But you don't feel like you're actually doing any good. At MedCircle, I feel like I'm doing good. And I think we are. You know what I mean?
Definitely. Yeah. That's amazing. And so is the community digital? Is there ever any in person or like local?
We've never had an official in-person meetup. We've had unofficial in-person meetups. Okay. Literally, you sound like one of our members. They're like, why don't you guys just do it? Like, we'll all fly out somewhere. And we have members all over the world. And so when we where are we going to do this? It's not even like what city. It's like, do we even do it in America? do we do one in America and one in Europe and one in Australia or whatever? So I don't know. I'm sure that will happen. And my guess is it will happen fairly soon because people are hungry for that in-person stuff. That's why I'm doing the Baba Blast summer tour this summer for 2025, because I have all these millions of kids watching me, Mallory, and I don't get to see any of their faces. You know, I get to see some that they get posted on Instagram, but I want to meet the kids. And honestly, more than that, I want to meet the parents. And I want to meet these people like you. And so that's why I think the in-person events, I think they're going to be a hot thing because that's what people are wanting.
That's amazing. So tell us a little bit more about the tour then. And what people can expect when they attend.
Well, it started in New York.
Okay.
And I had the best experience in New York because I was the only person putting it on. And we had all these people who bought tickets. Well, they're free tickets, but they got their tickets. And then I'm there and people showed up an hour early. And I'm like, but I'm not set up for anything. I mean, I'm not even dressed. I don't have everything out. The space isn't set up. And this mom walks in. She sees, oh my gosh, we're early and this guy needs help. And she goes, all right, I'm going to unpack these coloring books. You go do that table. I was like, oh my gosh. So to see the parents just go into mom and dad mode, I'm like, yeah, this is what I needed. Thank you. Thank you, mom. Thank you, mom. And I talked to every parent. I probably talked to every parent for 5 to 10 minutes. A lot of great feedback, a lot of kind words. We had people drive in from neighboring states. I got an email yesterday that someone's flying in from another state to our next New York meet and greet. And that's been really heartwarming and amazing. But what people can expect at the meet and greet is to meet Baba Blast, meet the Blaster, get some free Baba Blast swag. We'll have the music playing. Our next one is in Minnesota, and that one is a field day at Maple Grove Park. And so we'll have outdoor games and activities and crafts for the kids. The one after that is in Long Beach. That's at Shoreline Village. And that will we're going to have dinosaurs there. We're going to have a place to take pictures. And, not every kid has to do it, but when we were giving away all of our free toys and merch and stuff, I tell the kid, I go, now tell me, can you do this? And they'll go, yeah, I can do it. I go, all right. And then they get their, coloring book. So that's been really fun. And then after Long Beach, California, our next one is another one in New York. Since the first one was so good, we're going back to New York. And then we will do another one in Arizona. And I have some meetings this week about doing one in Las Vegas. So yeah, it's just a chance for fans of the show to come meet Baba Blast.
Wow. Let me know if you're ever in the DC area.
Yes, DC. Okay, so DC is a big one. Florida is a really big one. I've gotten that one a lot. And then Texas is a big one. So I think there's more. If they continue to be successful and people show up, we will do more of them. I'll do them all the
Right.
time. Yeah. So I just need people to show up, and so far they are, and it's really great.
That's amazing. I have to ask too, because you've gone to many places for Baba Blast. What's your favorite place that you've filmed at thus far?
Oh, my favorite place is filming in Arizona. Here's why. I grew up in Arizona, so I thought the whole world was a desert. I just assumed that's what it was. But really, most of the country is like trees and green and, like lush landscapes. And so to have this Arizona desert backdrop in our videos, I think it resonates with kids because they're seeing something novel and new.
Right.
And there is a prehistoric element of being like out in the desert, I don't
Yeah.
know. It feels a little prehistoric. But like I said, we just finished filming in Minnesota. We did a lot of forest filming, a lot of filming out in the water. So I think that's really good. I'm very committed to filming the majority of our content outside. I'm not a personal fan of children's content that's done exclusively on a green screen. The animation and all of that, in my opinion, does not incite excitement about exploring our natural world. It does not encourage outdoor play. And Baba Blast does both of those things. And so I want the episodes of Baba Blast to be the catalyst of them grabbing their blaster and going outside and doing their own dino hunt. If I do that on a green screen, that's hard for them to do. But if I can show them how to turn their backyard into a wonderland or a park into a prehistoric, fantasy world, then they can go do those things, or at least be inspired to do those things. So I'm a big, we got to get outside to film these episodes. We're not going to a studio. We're not doing it inside. We're not showing someone's bedroom or living room, blah, blah, blah. We're going outside. So that's what we're doing.
I love that. Well, we have the travel show, and me and my husband are members of the Explorers Club. So we're all about
I'm preaching to the choir.
The world. Yes. Get out there and do it. Especially great for children. I feel like a lot of kids grow up in very closed off communities and don't get to experience the world or seeing things until they're much older. And I think submerging them in that when they're young is very important.
Yeah, and it's a privilege to be able to do that, for kids and adults. And I know that I'm in love with the ocean. That's my favorite, right? And I grew up in the desert. And I think that's because the reason I love the ocean is because when you grow up in the desert, the ocean is this like thing you can't believe that there's just that much water when you're looking around and there's only dirt and sand. And so many kids like myself, well, you can't go see that. That's not where you live. And so to bring some of those new places, like a lake, like a forest, like a dune, like a desert landscape through the show, that's one way they can see it. It's not them doing it, which would be even better. But maybe at 5 they go, wait, a desert's a thing, the forest is a thing, the lake is a thing, the ocean is a thing. Yeah. These things are things. Okay, the world is big and I want to go see it. I think that's a great message.
It teaches them I can.
It teaches them what?
I can. These are things I can do. It's possible. It's not something that, it's just something you dream of. It's something you can get out and do and see.
Did you see the Meghan Markle podcast? I don't know who she was interviewed with, but it went viral probably for all the wrong reasons. But they were talking about the word yet.
Yet? No, I haven't.
So in Baba Blast, I incorporate the word yet. Because I think it's a good message for kids, because so many obviously young kids can't do stuff yet. They can't tie their shoe yet. They can't go on the ride yet. They can't do the things their older siblings do yet. And when you bring in that word yet, it acknowledges the reality, which is very important, but it also gives them that I can attitude, like you're saying, that it will happen one day. And
Mhm.
that future really builds resilience. Well, I was really proud of myself because I was like, I'm throwing all these little hidden gems in the episodes, and kids are going to
Right.
learn them. And it was on the Meghan Markle podcast, and they just ripped her up. She was like, I use the word yet. I go, well, I do too, for the 4-year-olds and the 5-year-olds, but it works for everybody, not just the kids, you know.
It's such a good message. That's so funny. Yeah, I remember being an adult, well into adulthood, and working at one of my jobs. We were signing cards, a bunch of girls, and everyone's was in awe because I had booked one of those glass igloos in Finland. I'm like, this is a dream. I'm going to do this, and people kept saying, "Oh, I didn't know that was something that was actually accessible. I just thought that's something you dream of or you put on your bucket list." And just the disconnect between I can do that, and all I have to do is you can, if it's important, save up, book it, put in the steps to do it, rather than just, oh well, that's not accessible. That's out of my wheelhouse. That seems too hard. So I think the yet translates well into almost anything is possible if you commit to it and work towards it. And
yeah, and it's okay if you can't do it right then, because most people, like, they would hear you and go, oh, Mallory gets to go to this awesome country and do this awesome experience. Good for her. That'll never be me. And that's a default thinking process that please, I do it all the time. And it by just changing a little bit of the vocabulary, it turns it into a plan rather than a never. Yeah.
Right. And having details too, because people, I feel like, a lot of people that do these things. I mean, when I did that, you're working hard for it. You're putting in the time. You're planning it out years in advance. You're saving. There's a lot that doesn't get seen until people see the end result and go, "Oh my gosh, I can't believe that!" But they don't see the work that goes into getting there.
Oh my gosh! You know how many people probably look at Baba Blast and go, "Oh, he has 25 million views on this video, and all he did was this, and this." I go, "Yeah, right. Yeah, right." I wish it was that easy. Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Well, thank you so much. Is there anything else you would like to tell our listeners about today? And also, where can they find you to make sure you promote all of the things you have going on?
Well, if you want to reach out to me, my Kyle at babablast.com is a great email. I get a lot of emails from parents there, and I always love hearing from parents. And if you're interested in MedCircle, you can email me, Kyle at medcircle.com. You see a theme here, it's whatever. And I'm happy to talk there as well. And I think the message for the parents listening, because out of all the different people who email me at MedCircle, the ones who beat themselves up the most are the parents. The ones that feel they're doing the worst are the parents. And some of them, I get why they feel that way, because things are really hard. The kid is sick. The kid's dealing with something big. You're dealing with something big. There can be so many things that make us feel like we're not doing good as parents. And let me just tell you, I honor that feeling and have that feeling, but you're doing so much better than you think you are. You're doing so much better than you think you are. And also, kids are resilient. They're gonna be okay. You're allowed to screw up. You will screw up, and the kid will be fine. Okay, one mistake does not screw any kid up. So go easy on yourself, and not to make this too long, but you do have to start prioritizing yourself even over your child. And people will go, oh, no, I could never do that. Kid number one. Okay, you do your thing. I'm saying, out of all the mental health experts, all the parenting experts I've talked to, unless you have got your life game, your emotional well-being on lock and ready to go, you can't even be, the best parent possible for your child. So tell that kid to go play in his room, and you go take your bubble bath, because you need it and you deserve it. That's what I think.
You got to take care of you to be there for your kid. I agree with that.
Yeah, but you really got to do it. You can't just wear a face mask on a Thursday and go, I did it. That's not, you gotta really prioritize yourself. You really do.
That's amazing. Where can people find you online?
At Kyle Kittleson, pretty much everywhere. You know, I'm not huge on social media, so if you really want to get to me, one of those emails will work great.
Fantastic. Thank you so much for joining me today.
Thanks, Mallory.
You're welcome. And until next time, everybody, stay weird.